1 Chronicles 25 to 29 and 2 Chronicles 1 to 8 World English Bible. 1 Chronicles chapter 25. Moreover, David and the captains of the army set apart for the service certain of the sons of Asaph, of Heman, and of Jeduthun, who were to prophesy with harps, with stringed instruments, and with cymbals. The number of those who did the work according to their service was, of the sons of Asaph, Zachar, Joseph, Nethaniah, and Asherelah. The sons of Asaph were under the hand of Asaph, who prophesied at the order of the king. Of Jeduthun, the sons of Jeduthun, Gedaliah, Zeri, Jeshaiah, Shimi, Hashabiah, and Mattathiah, 6, under the hands of their father Jeduthun, who prophesied in giving thanks and praising Yahweh with the harp. Of Heman, the sons of Heman, Bukiah, Mattaniah, Uzziel, Shebuel, Jerimoth, Hananiah, Hanani, Eliathah, Gedalti, Romamti-Ezer, Joshbekashah, Malothi, Hothar, and Mahaziath. All these were the sons of Heman the king's seer in the words of God, to lift up the horn. God gave to Heman 14 sons and 3 daughters. All these were under the hands of their father for song in Yahweh's house, with cymbals, stringed instruments, and harps, for the service of God's house, Asaph, Jeduthun, and Heman being under the order of the king. The number of them, with their brothers who were instructed in singing to Yahweh, even all who were skillful, was 288. They cast lots for their offices, all alike, the small as well as the great, the teacher as well as the student. Now the first lot came out for Asaph to Joseph, the second to Gedaliah, he and his brothers and sons were 12, the third to Zachar, his sons and his brothers, 12, the fourth to Isri, his sons and his brothers, 12, the fifth to Nethaniah, his sons and his brothers, 12, the sixth to Bukiah, his sons and his brothers, 12, the seventh to Jesharelah, his sons and his brothers, 12, the eighth to Jeshaiah, his sons and his brothers, 12, the ninth to Mattaniah, his sons and his brothers, 12, the 10th to Shimi, his sons and his brothers, 12, the 11th to Azrael, his sons and his brothers, 12, the 12th to Hashabiah, his sons and his brothers, 12, for the 13th, Shubael, his sons and his brothers, 12, for the 14th, Mattathiah, his sons and his brothers, 12, for the 15th to Jerimoth, his sons and his brothers, 12, for the 16th to Hananiah, his sons and his brothers, 12, for the 17th to Joshbekashah, his sons and his brothers, 12, for the 18th to Hanani, his sons and his brothers, 12, for the 19th to Malothi, his sons and his brothers, 12, for the 20th to Eliathah, his sons and his brothers, 12, for the 21st to Hothar, his sons and his brothers, 12, for the 22nd to Gedalti, his sons and his brothers, 12, for the 23rd to Mahaziath, his sons and his brothers, 12, for the 24th to Romamti-Ezer, his sons and his brothers, 12. 1 Chronicles chapter 26. For the divisions of the doorkeepers, of the Korahites, Meshelemiah the son of Korah, of the sons of Asaph. Meshelemiah had sons, Zechariah the firstborn, Jediel the second, Zebadiah the third, Jathniel the fourth, Elam the fifth, Jehanan the sixth, and Elihonai the seventh. Obed-Edom had sons, Shemaiah the firstborn, Jehozabad the second, Joah the third, Sacar the fourth, Nethanel the fifth, Amiel the sixth, Issachar the seventh, and Pelaphi the eighth, for God blessed him. Sons were also born to Shemaiah his son, who ruled over the house of their father, for they were mighty men of valor. The sons of Shemaiah, Othni, Rephael, Obed, and Elzabad, whose relatives were valiant men, Elihu, and Semachiah. All these were of the sons of Obed-Edom with their sons and their brothers, able men in strength for the service, 62 of Obed-Edom. Meshelemiah had sons and brothers, 18 valiant men. Also Hosah, of the children of Merari, had sons, Shimri the chief, for though he was not the firstborn, yet his father made him chief, Hilkiah the second, Tebaliah the third, and Zechariah the fourth. All the sons and brothers of Hosah were 13. Of these were the divisions of the doorkeepers, even of the chief men, having offices like their brothers, to minister in Yahweh's house. They cast lots, the small as well as the great, according to their fathers' houses, for every gate. The lot eastward fell to Shelemiah. Then for Zechariah his son, a wise counselor, they cast lots, and his lot came out northward. To Obed-Edom southward, and to his sons the storehouse. To Shuppim and Hosah westward, by the gate of Shalcheth, at the causeway that goes up, watchman opposite watchman. Eastward were 6 Levites, northward 4 a day, southward 4 a day, and for the storehouse 2 and 2. For Parber westward, 4 at the causeway, and 2 at Parber. These were the divisions of the doorkeepers, of the sons of the Korahites, and of the sons of Merari. Of the Levites, Ahijah was over the treasures of God's house and over the treasures of the dedicated things. The sons of Ladan, the sons of the Gershonites belonging to Ladan, the heads of the fathers' households belonging to Ladan the Gershonite, Jeheli. The sons of Jeheli, Zetham, and Joel his brother, over the treasures of Yahweh's house. Of the Amramites, of the Izharites, of the Hebronites, of the Uzzielites, Shebuel the son of Gershom, the son of Moses, was ruler over the treasuries. His brothers, of Eleazar, Rehabiah his son, and Jeshaiah his son, and Joram his son, and Zichri his son, and Shelomoth his son. This Shelomoth and his brothers were over all the treasuries of the dedicated things, which David the king, and the heads of the fathers' households, the captains over thousands and hundreds, and the captains of the army, had dedicated. They dedicated some of the plunder won in battles to repair Yahweh's house. All that Samuel the seer, Saul the son of Kish, Abner the son of Nah, and Joab the son of Zeruiah had dedicated, whoever had dedicated anything, it was under the hand of Shelomoth and of his brothers. Of the Israelites, Chenaniah and his sons were appointed to the outward business over Israel, for officers and judges. Of the Hebronites, Hashabiah and his brothers, 1,700 men of valor, had the oversight of Israel beyond the Jordan westward, for all the business of Yahweh and for the service of the king. Of the Hebronites, Jerijah was the chief of the Hebronites, according to their generations by fathers' households. They were sought for in the 40th year of the reign of David, and mighty men of valor were found among them at Jazer of Gilead. His relatives, men of valor, were 2,700, heads of fathers' households, whom King David made overseers over the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of the Manassites, for every matter pertaining to God and for the affairs of the king. 1 Chronicles chapter 27. Now the children of Israel after their number, the heads of fathers' households and the captains of thousands and of hundreds, and their officers who served the king in any matter of the divisions which came in and went out month by month throughout all the months of the year, of every division were 24,000. Over the first division for the first month was Jashabim the son of Zabdiel. In his division were 24,000. He was of the children of Perez, the chief of all the captains of the army for the first month. Over the division of the second month was Dodai the Ahohite and his division, and Mikloth the ruler, and in his division were 24,000. The third captain of the army for the third month was Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada the chief priest. In his division were 24,000. This is that Benaiah who was the mighty man of the 30 and over the 30. Of his division was Ammizabad his son. The fourth captain for the fourth month was Asahel the brother of Joab, and Zebadiah his son after him. In his division were 24,000. The fifth captain for the fifth month was Shamhath the Israelite. In his division were 24,000. The sixth captain for the sixth month was Ira the son of Ikesh the Tekoite. In his division were 24,000. The seventh captain for the seventh month was Helez the Pelonite, of the children of Ephraim. In his division were 24,000. The eighth captain for the eighth month was Sibbecai the Hushathite, of the Zerahites. In his division were 24,000. The ninth captain for the ninth month was Abiezer the Anathothite, of the Benjamites. In his division were 24,000. The 10th captain for the 10th month was Marai the Netophathite, of the Zerahites. In his division were 24,000. The 11th captain for the 11th month was Benaiah the Pirathonite, of the children of Ephraim. In his division were 24,000. The 12th captain for the 12th month was Heldai the Netophathite, of Othniel. In his division were 24,000. Furthermore, over the tribes of Israel, of the Reubenites, Eleazar the son of Zichri was the ruler; of the Simeonites, Shephatiah the son of Makkah; of Levi, Hashabiah the son of Kemuel; of Aaron, Zadok; of Judah, Elihu, one of the brothers of David; of Issachar, Omri the son of Michael; of Zebulun, Ishmael the son of Obadiah; of Naphtali, Jerimoth the son of Azriel; of the children of Ephraim, Hoshea the son of Azaziah; of the half-tribe of Manasseh, Joel the son of Pedaiah; of the half-tribe of Manasseh in Gilead, Iddo the son of Zechariah; of Benjamin, Jaziel the son of Abner; of Dan, Azrael the son of Jeraham. These were the captains of the tribes of Israel. But David didn't take the number of them from 20 years old and under, because Yahweh had said he would increase Israel like the stars of the sky. Joab the son of Zeruiah began to take a census, but didn't finish, and wrath came on Israel for this. The number wasn't put into the account in the Chronicles of King David. Over the king's treasures was Asmaveth the son of Adiel. Over the treasures in the fields, in the cities, in the villages, and in the towers was Jonathan the son of Uzziah. Over those who did the work of the field for tillage of the ground was Ezri the son of Caleb. Over the vineyards was Shimi the Ramathite. Over the increase of the vineyards for the wine cellars was Zabdi the Shifmite. Over the olive trees and the sycamore trees that were in the lowland was Balhanan the Gedrite. Over the cellars of oil was Josh. Over the herds that fed in Sharon was Shitrai the Sharonite. Over the herds that were in the valleys was Shaphat the son of Adlai. Over the camels was Obal the Ishmaelite. Over the donkeys was Jediah the Meronothite. Over the flocks was Jazaiah the Hagrite. All these were the rulers of the property which was King David's. Also Jonathan, David's uncle, was a counselor, a man of understanding, and a scribe. Jehiel the son of Hachmoni was with the king's sons. Ahithophel was the king's counselor. Hushai the Archite was the king's friend. After Ahithophel was Jehoiada the son of Benaiah, and Abiathar. Joab was the captain of the king's army. 1 Chronicles chapter 28. David assembled all the princes of Israel, the princes of the tribes, the captains of the companies who served the king by division, the captains of thousands, the captains of hundreds, and the rulers over all the substance and possessions of the king and of his sons, with the officers and the mighty men, even all the mighty men of valor, to Jerusalem. Then David the king stood up on his feet and said, Hear me, my brothers and my people. As for me, it was in my heart to build a house of rest for the ark of Yahweh's covenant, and for the footstool of our God, and I had prepared for the building. But God said to me, You shall not build a house for my name, because you are a men of war and have shed blood. However Yahweh, the God of Israel, chose me out of all the house of my father to be king over Israel forever. For he has chosen Judah to be prince, and in the house of Judah, the house of my father, and among the sons of my father he took pleasure in me to make me king over all Israel. Of all my sons, for Yahweh has given me many sons, he has chosen Solomon my son to sit on the throne of Yahweh's kingdom over Israel. He said to me, Solomon, your son, shall build my house and my courts, for I have chosen him to be my son, and I will be his father. I will establish his kingdom forever if he continues to do my commandments and my ordinances, as it is today. Now therefore, in the sight of all Israel, Yahweh's assembly, and in the audience of our God, observe and seek out all the commandments of Yahweh your God, that you may possess this good land, and leave it for an inheritance to your children after you forever. You, Solomon my son, know the God of your father, and serve him with a perfect heart and with a willing mind, for Yahweh searches all hearts, and understands all the imaginations of the thoughts. If you seek him, he will be found by you, but if you forsake him, he will cast you off forever. Take heed now, for Yahweh has chosen you to build a house for the sanctuary. Be strong, and do it. Then David gave to Solomon his son the plans for the porch of the temple, for its houses, for its treasuries, for its upper rooms, for its inner rooms, for the place of the mercy seat, and the plans of all that he had by the Spirit, for the courts of Yahweh's house, for all the surrounding rooms, for the treasuries of God's house, and for the treasuries of the dedicated things, also for the divisions of the priests and the Levites, for all the work of the service of Yahweh's house, and for all the vessels of service in Yahweh's house, of gold by weight for the gold for all vessels of every kind of service, for all the vessels of silver by weight, for all vessels of every kind of service, by weight also for the lampstands of gold, and for its lamps, of gold, by weight for every lampstand and for its lamps, and for the lampstands of silver, by weight for every lampstand and for its lamps, according to the use of every lampstand. And the gold by weight for the tables of showbread, for every table, and silver for the tables of silver, and the forks, the basins, and the cups, of pure gold, and for the golden bowls by weight for every bowl, and for the silver bowls by weight for every bowl, and for the altar of incense, refined gold by weight, and gold for the plans for the chariot, and the cherubim that spread out and cover the ark of Yahweh's covenant. All this, David said, I have been made to understand in writing from Yahweh's hand, even all the works of this pattern. David said to Solomon his son, Be strong and courageous, and do it. Don't be afraid, nor be dismayed, for Yahweh God, even my God, is with you. He will not fail you nor forsake you, until all the work for the service of Yahweh's house is finished. Behold, there are the divisions of the priests and the Levites for all the service of God's house. Every willing man who has skill for any kind of service shall be with you in all kinds of work. Also the captains and all the people will be entirely at your command. 1 Chronicles chapter 29. David the king said to all the assembly, Solomon my son, whom alone God has chosen, is yet young and tender, and the work is great, for the palace is not for men, but for Yahweh God. Now I have prepared with all my might for the house of my God the gold for the things of gold, the silver for the things of silver, the bronze for the things of bronze, iron for the things of iron, and wood for the things of wood, also onyx stones, stones to be set, stones for inlaid work of various colors, all kinds of precious stones, and marble stones in abundance. In addition, because I have set my affection on the house of my God, since I have a treasure of my own of gold and silver, I give it to the house of my God, over and above all that I have prepared for the holy house, even 3,000 talents of gold, of the gold of Ophir, and 7,000 talents of refined silver, with which to overlay the walls of the houses, of gold for the things of gold, and of silver for the things of silver, and for all kinds of work to be made by the hands of artisans. Who then offers willingly to consecrate himself today to Yahweh. Then the princes of the fathers' households, and the princes of the tribes of Israel, and the captains of thousands and of hundreds, with the rulers over the king's work, offered willingly, and they gave for the service of God's house of gold 5,000 talents and 10,000 darics, of silver 10,000 talents, of bronze 18,000 talents, and of iron 100,000 talents. People with whom precious stones were found gave them to the treasure of Yahweh's house, under the hand of Jehiel the Gershonite. Then the people rejoiced, because they offered willingly, because with a perfect heart they offered willingly to Yahweh, and David the king also rejoiced with great joy. Therefore David blessed Yahweh before all the assembly, and David said, You are blessed, Yahweh, the God of Israel our Father, forever and ever. Yours, Yahweh, is the greatness, the power, the glory, the victory, and the majesty. For all that is in the heavens and in the earth is yours. Yours is the kingdom, Yahweh, and you are exalted as head above all. Both riches and honor come from you, and you rule over all. In your hand is power and might. It is in your hand to make great, and to give strength to all. Now therefore, our God, we thank you and praise your glorious name. But who am I, and what is my people, that we should be able to offer so willingly as this? For all things come from you, and we have given you of your own. For we are strangers before you and foreigners, as all our fathers were. Our days on the earth are as a shadow, and there is no remaining. Yahweh our God, all this store that we have prepared to build you a house for your holy name comes from your hand, and is all your own. I know also, my God, that you try the heart and have pleasure in uprightness. As for me, in the uprightness of my heart I have willingly offered all these things. Now I have seen with joy your people, who are present here, offer willingly to you. Yahweh, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Israel, our fathers, keep this desire forever in the thoughts of the heart of your people, and prepare their heart for you, and give to Solomon my son a perfect heart, to keep your commandments, your testimonies, and your statutes, and to do all these things, and to build the palace, for which I have made provision. Then David said to all the assembly, Now bless Yahweh your God. All the assembly blessed Yahweh, the God of their fathers, and bowed down their heads and prostrated themselves before Yahweh and the king. They sacrificed sacrifices to Yahweh and offered burnt offerings to Yahweh on the next day after the day, even 1,000 bulls, 1,000 rams, and 1,000 lambs, with their drink offerings and sacrifices in abundance for all Israel, and ate and drank before Yahweh on the day with great gladness. They made Solomon the son of David king the second time, and anointed him before Yahweh to be prince, and Zadok to be priest. Then Solomon sat on the throne of Yahweh as king instead of David his father, and prospered, and all Israel obeyed him. All the princes, the mighty men, and also all of the sons of King David submitted themselves to Solomon the king. Yahweh magnified Solomon exceedingly in the sight of all Israel, and gave to him such royal majesty as had not been on any king before him in Israel. Now David the son of Jesse reigned over all Israel. The time that he reigned over Israel was 40 years, he reigned 7 years in Hebron, and he reigned 33 years in Jerusalem. He died at a good old age, full of days, riches, and honor, and Solomon his son reigned in his place. Now the acts of David the king, first and last, behold, they are written in the history of Samuel the seer, and in the history of Nathan the prophet, and in the history of Gad the seer, with all his reign and his might, and the events that involved him, Israel, and all the kingdoms of the lands. 2 Chronicles chapter 1. Solomon the son of David was firmly established in his kingdom, and Yahweh his God was with him, and made him exceedingly great. Solomon spoke to all Israel, to the captains of thousands and of hundreds, to the judges, and to every prince in all Israel, the heads of the fathers' households. Then Solomon, and all the assembly with him, went to the high place that was at Gibeon, for God's tent of meeting was there, which Yahweh's servant Moses had made in the wilderness. But David had brought God's ark up from Kiriath-jearim to the place that David had prepared for it, for he had pitched a tent for it at Jerusalem. Moreover the bronze altar that Bezalel the son of Uri, the son of Hur, had made was there before Yahweh's tabernacle, and Solomon and the assembly were seeking counsel there. Solomon went up there to the bronze altar before Yahweh, which was at the tent of meeting, and offered 1,000 burnt offerings on it. That night, God appeared to Solomon and said to him, Ask for what you want me to give you. Solomon said to God, You have shown great loving kindness to David my father, and have made me king in his place. Now, Yahweh God, let your promise to David my father be established, for you have made me king over a people like the dust of the earth in multitude. Now give me wisdom and knowledge, that I may go out and come in before this people, for who can judge this great people of yours? God said to Solomon, Because this was in your heart, and you have not asked riches, wealth, honor, or the life of those who hate you, nor yet have you asked for long life, but have asked for wisdom and knowledge for yourself, that you may judge my people, over whom I have made you king, therefore wisdom and knowledge is granted to you. I will give you riches, wealth, and honor, such as none of the kings have had who have been before you, and none after you will have. So Solomon came from the high place that was at Gibeon, from before the tent of meeting, to Jerusalem, and he reigned over Israel. Solomon gathered chariots and horsemen. He had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen that he placed in the chariot cities, and with the king at Jerusalem. The king made silver and gold to be as common as stones in Jerusalem, and he made cedars to be as common as the sycamore trees that are in the lowland. The horses which Solomon had were brought out of Egypt and from Cu. The king's merchants purchased them from Cu. They imported from Egypt and exported a chariot for 600 pieces of silver and a horse for 150. They also exported them to the Hittite kings and the Syrian kings. 2 Chronicles chapter 2. Now Solomon decided to build a house for Yahweh's name, and a house for his kingdom. Solomon counted out 70,000 men to bear burdens, 80,000 men who were stone cutters in the mountains, and 3,600 to oversee them. Solomon sent to Hiram the king of Tyre, saying, As you dealt with David my father, and sent him cedars to build him a house in which to dwell, so deal with me. Behold, I am about to build a house for the name of Yahweh my God, to dedicate it to him, to burn before him incense of sweet spices, for the continual showbread, and for the burnt offerings morning and evening, on the Sabbaths, on the new moons, and on the set feasts of Yahweh our God. This is an ordinance forever to Israel. The house which I am building will be great, for our God is greater than all gods. But who is able to build him a house, since heaven and the heaven of heavens can't contain him? Who am I then, that I should build him a house, except just to burn incense before him? Now therefore send me a man skillful to work in gold, in silver, in bronze, in iron, and in purple, crimson, and blue, and who knows how to engrave engravings, to be with the skillful men who are with me in Judah and in Jerusalem, whom David my father provided. Send me also cedar trees, cypress trees, and algum trees out of Lebanon, for I know that your servants know how to cut timber in Lebanon. Behold, my servants will be with your servants, even to prepare me timber in abundance, for the house which I am about to build will be great and wonderful. Behold, I will give to your servants, the cutters who cut timber, 20,000 cores of beaten wheat, 20,000 baths of barley, 20,000 baths of wine, and 20,000 baths of oil. Then Hiram the king of Tyre answered in writing, which he sent to Solomon, because Yahweh loves his people, he has made you king over them. Hiram continued, Blessed be Yahweh, the God of Israel, who made heaven and earth, who has given to David the king a wise son, endowed with discretion and understanding, who would build a house for Yahweh and a house for his kingdom. Now I have sent a skillful man, endowed with understanding, Hiram Abi, the son of a woman of the daughters of Dan, and his father was a man of Tyre. He is skillful to work in gold, in silver, in bronze, in iron, in stone, in timber, in purple, in blue, in fine linen, and in crimson, also to engrave any kind of engraving and to devise any device, that there may be a place appointed to him with your skillful man, and with the skillful men of my lord David your father. Now therefore, the wheat, the barley, the oil, and the wine which my lord has spoken of, let him send to his servants, and we will cut wood out of Lebanon, as much as you need. We will bring it to you in rafts by sea to Joppa, then you shall carry it up to Jerusalem. Solomon counted all the foreigners who were in the land of Israel, after the census with which David his father had counted them, and they found 153,600. He set 70,000 of them to bear burdens, 80,000 who were stone cutters in the mountains, and 3,600 overseers to assign the people their work. 2 Chronicles chapter 3. Then Solomon began to build Yahweh's house at Jerusalem on Mount Moriah, where Yahweh appeared to David his father, which he prepared in the place that David had appointed, on the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. He began to build in the 2nd day of the 2nd month, in the 4th year of his reign. Now these are the foundations which Solomon laid for the building of God's house. The length by cubits after the first measure was 60 cubits, and the width 20 cubits. The porch that was in front, its length, across the width of the house, was 20 cubits, and the height 120, and he overlaid it within with pure gold. He made the larger room with a ceiling of cypress wood, which he overlaid with fine gold, and ornamented it with palm trees and chains. He decorated the house with precious stones for beauty. The gold was gold from Parvaim. He also overlaid the house, the beams, the thresholds, its walls, and its doors with gold, and engraved cherubim on the walls. He made the most holy place. Its length, according to the width of the house, was 20 cubits, and its width 20 cubits, and he overlaid it with fine gold, amounting to 600 talents. The weight of the nails was 50 shekels of gold. He overlaid the upper rooms with gold. In the most holy place he made 2 cherubim by carving, and they overlaid them with gold. The wings of the cherubim were 20 cubits long, the wing of the one was 5 cubits, reaching to the wall of the house, and the other wing was 5 cubits, reaching to the wing of the other cherub. The wing of the other cherub was 5 cubits, reaching to the wall of the house, and the other wing was 5 cubits, joining to the wing of the other cherub. The wings of these cherubim spread themselves out 20 cubits. They stood on their feet, and their faces were toward the house. He made the veil of blue, purple, crimson, and fine linen, and ornamented it with cherubim. Also he made before the house 2 pillars 35 cubits high, and the capital that was on the top of each of them was 5 cubits. He made chains in the inner sanctuary, and put them on the tops of the pillars, and he made 100 pomegranates, and put them on the chains. He set up the pillars before the temple, one on the right hand and the other on the left, and called the name of that on the right hand Jachin, and the name of that on the left Boaz. 2 Chronicles chapter 4. Then he made an altar of bronze, 20 cubits long, 20 cubits wide, and 10 cubits high. Also he made the molten sea of 10 cubits from brim to brim. It was round, 5 cubits high, and 30 cubits in circumference. Under it was the likeness of oxen, which encircled it, for 10 cubits, encircling the sea. The oxen were in 2 rows, cast when it was cast. It stood on 12 oxen, 3 looking toward the north, 3 looking toward the west, 3 looking toward the south, and 3 looking toward the east, and the sea was set on them above, and all their hindquarters were inward. It was a handbreadth thick. Its brim was made like the brim of a cup, like the flower of a lily. It received and held 3,000 baths. He also made 10 basins, and put 5 on the right hand and 5 on the left, to wash in them. The things that belonged to the burnt offering were washed in them, but the sea was for the priests to wash in. He made the 10 lampstands of gold according to the ordinance concerning them, and he set them in the temple, 5 on the right hand and 5 on the left. He made also 10 tables, and placed them in the temple, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left. He made 100 basins of gold. Furthermore he made the court of the priests, the great court, and doors for the court, and overlaid their doors with bronze. He set the sea on the right side of the house eastward, toward the south. Hiram made the pots, the shovels, and the basins. So Hiram finished doing the work that he did for King Solomon in God's house, the 2 pillars, the bowls, the 2 capitals which were on the top of the pillars, the 2 networks to cover the 2 bowls of the capitals that were on the top of the pillars, and the 400 pomegranates for the 2 networks, 2 rows of pomegranates for each network, to cover the 2 bowls of the capitals that were on the pillars. He also made the bases, and he made the basins on the bases, 1 sea, and the 12 oxen under it. Hiram Abi also made the pots, the shovels, the forks, and all its vessels for King Solomon, for Yahweh's house, of bright bronze. The king cast them in the plain of the Jordan, in the clay ground between Succos and Zereda. Thus Solomon made all these vessels in great abundance, so that the weight of the bronze could not be determined. Solomon made all the vessels that were in God's house, the golden altar, the tables with the showbread on them, and the lampstands with their lamps to burn according to the ordinance before the inner sanctuary, of pure gold, and the flowers, the lamps, and the tongs of gold that was purest gold, and the snuffers, the basins, the spoons, and the firepans of pure gold. As for the entry of the house, its inner doors for the most holy place and the doors of the main hall of the temple were of gold. 2 Chronicles chapter 5. Thus all the work that Solomon did for Yahweh's house was finished. Solomon brought in the things that David his father had dedicated, even the silver, the gold, and all the vessels, and put them in the treasuries of God's house. Then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes, the princes of the fathers' households of the children of Israel, to Jerusalem, to bring up the ark of Yahweh's covenant out of David's city, which is Zion. So all the men of Israel assembled themselves to the king at the feast, which was in the 7th month. All the elders of Israel came. The Levites took up the ark. They brought up the ark, the tent of meeting, and all the holy vessels that were in the tent. The Levitical priests brought these up. King Solomon and all the congregation of Israel who were assembled to him were before the ark, sacrificing sheep and cattle that could not be counted or numbered for multitude. The priests brought in the ark of Yahweh's covenant to its place, into the inner sanctuary of the house, to the most holy place, even under the wings of the cherubim. For the cherubim spread out their wings over the place of the ark, and the cherubim covered the ark and its poles above. The poles were so long that the ends of the poles were seen from the ark in front of the inner sanctuary, but they were not seen outside, and it is there to this day. There was nothing in the ark except the 2 tablets which Moses put there at Horeb, when Yahweh made a covenant with the children of Israel, when they came out of Egypt. When the priests had come out of the holy place, for all the priests who were present had sanctified themselves, and didn't keep their divisions, also the Levites who were the singers, all of them, even Asaph, Heman, Jeduthun, and their sons and their brothers, arrayed in fine linen, with cymbals and stringed instruments and harps, stood at the east end of the altar, and with them 120 priests sounding with trumpets, when the trumpeters and singers were as one, to make one sound. To be heard in praising and thanking Yahweh, and when they lifted up their voice with the trumpets and cymbals and instruments of music, and praised Yahweh, saying, For he is good, for his loving kindness endures forever. Then the house was filled with a cloud, even Yahweh's house, so that the priests could not stand to minister by reason of the cloud, for Yahweh's glory filled God's house. 2 Chronicles chapter 6. Then Solomon said, Yahweh has said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. But I have built you a house and home, a place for you to dwell in forever. The king turned his face, and blessed all the assembly of Israel, and all the assembly of Israel stood. He said, Blessed be Yahweh, the God of Israel, who spoke with his mouth to David my father, and has with his hands fulfilled it, saying, Since the day that I brought my people out of the land of Egypt, I chose no city out of all the tribes of Israel to build a house in, that my name might be there, and I chose no man to be prince over my people Israel, but now I have chosen Jerusalem, that my name might be there, and I have chosen David to be over my people Israel. Now it was in the heart of David my father to build a house for the name of Yahweh, the God of Israel. But Yahweh said to David my father, Whereas it was in your heart to build a house for my name, you did well that it was in your heart, nevertheless you shall not build the house, but your son who will come out of your body, he shall build the house for my name. Yahweh has performed his word that he spoke, for I have risen up in the place of David my father, and sit on the throne of Israel, as Yahweh promised, and have built the house for the name of Yahweh, the God of Israel. There I have set the ark, in which is Yahweh's covenant, which he made with the children of Israel. He stood before Yahweh's altar in the presence of all the assembly of Israel, and spread out his hands, for Solomon had made a bronze platform, 5 cubits long, 5 cubits wide, and 3 cubits high, and had set it in the middle of the court, and he stood on it, and knelt down on his knees before all the assembly of Israel, and spread out his hands toward heaven. Then he said, Yahweh, the God of Israel, there is no God like you in heaven or on earth, you who keep covenant and loving kindness with your servants who walk before you with all their heart, who have kept with your servant David my father that which you promised him. Yes, you spoke with your mouth, and have fulfilled it with your hand, as it is today. Now therefore, Yahweh, the God of Israel, keep with your servant David my father that which you have promised him, saying, There shall not fail you a man in my sight to sit on the throne of Israel, if only your children take heed to their way, to walk in my law as you have walked before me. Now therefore, Yahweh, the God of Israel, let your word be verified, which you spoke to your servant David. But will God indeed dwell with men on the earth? Behold, heaven and the heaven of heavens can't contain you, how much less this house which I have built. Yet have respect for the prayer of your servant and to his supplication, Yahweh my God, to listen to the cry and to the prayer which your servant prays before you, that your eyes may be open toward this house day and night, even toward the place where you have said that you would put your name, to listen to the prayer which your servant will pray toward this place. Listen to the petitions of your servant and of your people Israel, when they pray toward this place. Yes, hear from your dwelling place, even from heaven, and when you hear, forgive. If a man sins against his neighbor, and an oath is laid on him to cause him to swear, and he comes and swears before your altar in this house, then hear from heaven, act, and judge your servants, bringing retribution to the wicked, to bring his way on his own head, and justifying the righteous, to give him according to his righteousness. If your people Israel are struck down before the enemy because they have sinned against you, and they turn again and confess your name, and pray, and make supplication before you in this house, then hear from heaven, and forgive the sin of your people Israel, and bring them again to the land which you gave to them and to their fathers. When the sky is shut up and there is no rain because they have sinned against you, if they pray toward this place and confess your name, and turn from their sin when you afflict them, then hear in heaven, and forgive the sin of your servants, your people Israel, when you teach them the good way in which they should walk, and send rain on your land, which you have given to your people for an inheritance. If there is famine in the land, if there is pestilence, if there is blight or mildew, locust or caterpillar, if their enemies besiege them in the land of their cities, whatever plague or whatever sickness there is, whatever prayer and supplication is made by any man, or by all your people Israel, who will each know his own plague and his own sorrow, and shall spread out his hands toward this house, then hear from heaven your dwelling place and forgive, and render to every man according to all his ways, whose heart you know, for you, even you only, know the hearts of the children of men, that they may fear you, to walk in your ways as long as they live in the land which you gave to our fathers. Moreover, concerning the foreigner, who is not of your people Israel, when he comes from a far country for your great name's sake and your mighty hand and your outstretched arm, when they come and pray toward this house, then hear from heaven, even from your dwelling place, and do according to all that the foreigner calls to you for, that all the peoples of the earth may know your name and fear you, as do your people Israel, and that they may know that this house which I have built is called by your name. If your people go out to battle against their enemies, by whatever way you send them, and they pray to you toward the city which you have chosen, and the house which I have built for your name, then hear from heaven their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause. If they sin against you, for there is no man who doesn't sin, and you are angry with them and deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them away captive to a land far off or near, yet if they come to their senses in the land where they are carried captive, and turn again, and make supplication to you in the land of their captivity, saying, we have sinned, we have done perversely, and have dealt wickedly, if they return to you with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their captivity, where they have been taken captive, and pray toward their land which you gave to their fathers, and the city which you have chosen, and toward the house which I have built for your name, then hear from heaven, even from your dwelling place, their prayer and their petitions, and maintain their cause, and forgive your people who have sinned against you. Now, my God, let, I beg you, your eyes be open, and let your ears be attentive to the prayer that is made in this place. Now therefore arise, Yahweh God, into your resting place, you, and the ark of your strength. Let your priests, Yahweh God, be clothed with salvation, and let your saints rejoice in goodness. Yahweh God, don't turn away the face of your anointed. Remember your loving kindnesses to David your servant. 2 Chronicles chapter 7. Now when Solomon had finished praying, fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and Yahweh's glory filled the house. The priests could not enter into Yahweh's house, because Yahweh's glory filled Yahweh's house. All the children of Israel looked on when the fire came down, and Yahweh's glory was on the house. They bowed themselves with their faces to the ground on the pavement, worshipped, and gave thanks to Yahweh, saying, for he is good, for his loving kindness endures forever. Then the king and all the people offered sacrifices before Yahweh. King Solomon offered a sacrifice of 22,000 head of cattle and 120,000 sheep. So the king and all the people dedicated God's house. The priests stood, according to their positions, the Levites also with instruments of music of Yahweh, which David the king had made to give thanks to Yahweh, when David praised by their ministry, saying, for his loving kindness endures forever. The priests sounded trumpets before them, and all Israel stood. Moreover Solomon made the middle of the court that was before Yahweh's house holy, for there he offered the burnt offerings and the fat of the peace offerings, because the bronze altar which Solomon had made was not able to receive the burnt offering, the meal offering, and the fat. So Solomon held the feast at that time for 7 days, and all Israel with him, a very great assembly, from the entrance of Hamath to the brook of Egypt. On the 8th day, they held a solemn assembly, for they kept the dedication of the altar 7 days, and the feast 7 days. On the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people away to their tents, joyful and glad of heart for the goodness that Yahweh had shown to David, to Solomon, and to Israel his people. Thus Solomon finished Yahweh's house and the king's house, and he successfully completed all that came into Solomon's heart to make in Yahweh's house and in his own house. Then Yahweh appeared to Solomon by night, and said to him, I have heard your prayer, and have chosen this place for myself for a house of sacrifice. If I shut up the sky so that there is no rain, or if I command the locust to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, pray, seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, will forgive their sin, and will heal their land. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to prayer that is made in this place. For now I have chosen and made this house holy, that my name may be there forever, and my eyes and my heart will be there perpetually. As for you, if you will walk before me as David your father walked, and do according to all that I have commanded you, and will keep my statutes and my ordinances, then I will establish the throne of your kingdom, according as I covenanted with David your father, saying, there shall not fail you a man to be ruler in Israel. But if you turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments which I have set before you, and go and serve other gods and worship them, then I will pluck them up by the roots out of my land which I have given them, and this house, which I have made holy for my name, I will cast out of my sight, and I will make it a proverb and a byword among all peoples. This house, which is so high, everyone who passes by it will be astonished and say, why has Yahweh done this to this land and to this house? They shall answer, because they abandoned Yahweh, the God of their fathers, who brought them out of the land of Egypt, and took other gods, worshipped them, and served them. Therefore he has brought all this evil on them. 2 Chronicles chapter 8. At the end of 20 years, in which Solomon had built Yahweh's house and his own house, Solomon built the cities which Hiram had given to Solomon, and caused the children of Israel to dwell there. Solomon went to Hamath Zobah, and prevailed against it. He built Tadmor in the wilderness, and all the storage cities, which he built in Hamath. Also he built Beth-Horon the upper and Beth-Horon the lower, fortified cities with walls, gates, and bars, and Baalath, and all the storage cities that Solomon had, and all the cities for his chariots, the cities for his horsemen, and all that Solomon desired to build for his pleasure in Jerusalem, in Lebanon, and in all the land of his dominion. As for all the people who were left of the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, who were not of Israel, of their children who were left after them in the land, whom the children of Israel didn't consume, of them Solomon conscripted forced labor to this day. But of the children of Israel, Solomon made no servants for his work, but they were men of war, chief of his captains, and rulers of his chariots and of his horsemen. These were the chief officers of King Solomon, even 250, who ruled over the people. Solomon brought up Pharaoh's daughter out of David's city to the house that he had built for her, for he said, my wife shall not dwell in the house of David king of Israel, because the places where Yahweh's ark has come are holy. Then Solomon offered burnt offerings to Yahweh on Yahweh's altar which he had built before the porch, even as the duty of every day required, offering according to the commandment of Moses on the Sabbaths, on the new moons, and on the set feasts, 3 times per year, during the feast of unleavened bread, during the feast of weeks, and during the feast of booths. He appointed, according to the ordinance of David his father, the divisions of the priests to their service, and the Levites to their offices, to praise and to minister before the priests, as the duty of every day required, the doorkeepers also by their divisions at every gate, for David the man of God had so commanded. They didn't depart from the commandment of the king to the priests and Levites concerning any matter or concerning the treasures. Now all the work of Solomon was accomplished from the day of the foundation of Yahweh's house until it was finished. So Yahweh's house was completed. Then Solomon went to Ezion-Geber and to Elath, on the seashore in the land of Edom. Hiram sent him ships and servants who had knowledge of the sea by the hands of his servants, and they came with the servants of Solomon to Ophir, and brought from there 450 talents of gold, and brought them to King Solomon.